There's a very specific kind of panic that strikes at 2 in the morning when the warning light on an off-grid solar inverter suddenly starts blinking red, and the entire house is swallowed by darkness. The enormous battery bank sitting in the garage, the core of an independent power system, appears completely lifeless. The next morning, a corporate technician arrives in a company-branded van. He avoids eye contact. A proprietary diagnostic tablet is connected to the system. A few taps across a locked interface, and the verdict comes immediately. The battery bank is declared beyond repair. A fresh invoice is presented demanding a new $5,000 contract for a replacement wall-mounted unit. The old batteries are marked for removal, but hidden behind that diagnosis is a detail the technician either does not know or is prohibited from explaining. Less than 5 miles away, on the shelf of a common hardware store, sits an inexpensive translucent liquid costing only $7. According to claims surrounding the compound, it contains an electrochemical structure capable of attacking the microscopic buildup locking damaged battery cells. The liquid is described as being able to restore heavily degraded solar storage batteries to 98% of original capacity within 48 hours. The larger issue begins with the modern energy storage industry itself. The market, valued at $90 billion, operates around a cycle of planned replacement. Lithium-ion manufacturers and smart grid companies promote the idea of total energy independence through expensive battery systems tied to solar installations. Yet hidden inside the licensing agreements and proprietary battery management software is an unavoidable countdown toward future failure. From the instant a commercial battery cell leaves the production facility, internal deterioration slowly begins. Every charging cycle and discharge cycle places microscopic stress on the cathode structure. Over time, the material fractures. By the moment the warranty period expires, the system has already suffered major degradation. When the battery finally fails, the unit is considered impossible to repair or recover. It becomes electronic waste, and the customer is pushed toward financing another costly replacement system. The traditional utility bill is simply exchanged for a new form of recurring dependency built around storage technology. To protect this profitable cycle, supporters of modern battery systems aggressively discredit one older technology. Deep cycle lead-acid batteries are regularly portrayed as obsolete, excessively heavy, dirty, and inefficient. Critics argue that these batteries eventually lose their ability to hold charge, presenting this as proof that newer proprietary storage walls are superior, but the central argument leaves out a critical piece of electrochemical reality. A lead-acid battery does not fail because of age alone. It does not stop functioning because of mechanical breakdown. The primary cause is a very specific microscopic condition known as crystalline sulfation. A large industrial deep cycle battery, the kind commonly used in off-grid systems and heavy machinery, operates through a relatively simple chemical process. Inside the thick outer casing are alternating plates made from spongy lead and lead dioxide. These plates remain submerged inside a conductive electrolyte mixture consisting of distilled water and sulfuric acid. When electrical demand is placed on the battery, sulfuric acid reacts with the lead plates, releasing electrons and generating electrical flow. During this process, lead sulfate forms as a chemical byproduct. Once the battery is recharged through solar panels or another charging source, the reaction reverses. The lead sulfate is pushed back into the electrolyte, restoring the plates for another cycle. Under normal conditions, this process can repeat continuously. Problems begin when batteries remain undercharged for extended periods, sit discharged during long winters with limited sunlight, or experience repeated heavy cycling without receiving proper equalization charging. As this happens, the soft lead sulfate coating begins to harden. Microscopic crystals start forming across the surface of the plates. Over time, those crystals lock together into a dense layer resembling white armor. This crystalline barrier blocks sulfuric acid from reaching the lead beneath it. The battery effectively becomes chemically suffocated. Diagnostic systems detect the resulting internal resistance and classify the unit as dead. The owner is instructed to discard hundreds of pounds of refined lead, even though the underlying material itself remains intact beneath the hardened sulfate layer. Discarding an entire lead battery because sulfate crystals have formed across the plates is no different than junking a diesel engine over a blocked fuel filter. The process represents deliberate financial destruction disguised as standard maintenance. The truth behind this issue was already understood during the most violent mechanized campaigns of the Second World War. In 1943, logistics units within the United States Army encountered a severe equipment crisis across the deserts of North Africa. Brutal environmental heat combined with nonstop electrical demand from transport convoys and field communication systems caused battery sulfation to accelerate at an extreme pace. Crystalline deposits rapidly formed inside the heavy batteries. In many cases, entire units became unusable within only a few weeks. Supply routes crossing the Atlantic Ocean were already overwhelmed with ammunition, fuel, and artillery shipments. Transporting endless loads of replacement batteries became impossible. The advance of Allied mechanized forces began slowing because massive lead batteries were failing faster than they could be replaced. Later, declassified field manuals and partially censored quartermaster records revealed that military chemists introduced an aggressive chemical recovery procedure to counter the crisis. Instead of replacing damaged batteries, they focused on destroying the hardened sulfate layer itself. What they required was a chemical collating agent, a molecular compound capable of targeting crystalline sulfate structures while leaving the softer lead plates intact underneath. Military researchers discovered that concentrated mineral salt formulations dissolved in heated, purified water could perform exactly that task. Once introduced directly into damaged battery cells, the solution aggressively attacked the crystal buildup. The hardened barrier dissolved within hours. Field mechanics removed the exhausted, neutralized acid from dead batteries, flushed the cells using this chemical mixture, then applied a slow generator-based charging cycle. Batteries previously considered worthless returned to operational condition and resumed functioning at full working capacity. After the war ended and consumer automotive markets expanded alongside off-grid solar systems, this restoration process gradually disappeared from public knowledge. The concern was simple. If ordinary consumers learned they could continuously recycle and revive their own battery systems using inexpensive mineral compounds, the large-scale battery manufacturing business would suffer enormous losses. References to the method vanished from civilian repair manuals. Engineering programs no longer taught the process. Replacement culture replaced restoration entirely. Yet the underlying chemistry never disappeared. The same compound once used to break apart sulfate buildup remains widely available in ordinary stores. Magnesium sulfate hexahydrate can still be found in hardware outlets, agricultural supply centers, and local shops. It is commonly sold as agricultural Epsom salt. A more chemically aggressive industrial variant exists under the name tetrasodium EDTA. When high-purity magnesium sulfate is combined with distilled water, the mixture forms a highly active ionic solution. For approximately $7, a bulk quantity of the material can be purchased. The financial implications become significant when long-term energy storage costs are examined mathematically. A formula referred to as the storage parity equation defines economic efficiency as total capital expenditure divided by total operational lifespan in years. E or LC. Using the common lithium-ion model, an average off-grid residence requires approximately a 20-kilowatt battery bank. A premium proprietary battery wall costs roughly $12,000. Installation and mandatory grid tie fees performed by certified technicians at another $3,000. Total expenditure reaches $15,000. Because of internal chemical wear and software-imposed operating limits, the expected service life remains fixed at 10 years. The resulting operational cost equals $1,500 every year. Now compare that to a chemically restored lead-acid system. One documented example involved a retired telecommunications engineer living entirely off-grid in the high desert region of Nevada. Frustrated by the pricing structure surrounding lithium storage systems, he refused to purchase a disposable battery wall. Instead, he drove a heavy-duty truck to a telecom salvage facility. There he located a gigantic industrial backup battery originally used for a cellular tower installation. The steel enclosed unit contained 24 separate 2-volt cells and weighed nearly 2,000 pounds. According to the salvage operator, the battery had suffered severe abuse during a grid outage. It had been deeply discharged, then abandoned inside a freezing warehouse for 4 years. Sulfation had completely overtaken the cells. Voltage output measured absolute zero. The engineer purchased the entire battery for scrap lead value totaling approximately $450. Please leave your thoughts about this content in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.